5 Live Formula One.
It's time for the sprint race in Azerbaijan. The sun starting to get a little lower in the sky as it is approaching 5:30 in the capital city, Baku. And we are set for a 17-lap sprint race, about half an hour or so's worth of action, which will decide some championship points. The winner will get 8 points. The second place driver will get 7. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down to 8th spot. And that is actually all that's on the line now with sprint races, because it used to set the grid for the Grand Prix tomorrow. Now it does not. So now it's just some points on the line. My name is Jack Nichols. Alongside me in commentary is Sam Bird, the former Mercedes F1 reserve driver and current Jaguar TCS racing man in Formula E. And you're a Jaguar TCS man. That's who you are.
Very good, Jack. Very good.
And your press officer will be very happy with me for saying the sponsor's name in the team name as well. Looking forward to this little sprint. I think we'll learn some things about the Grand Prix tomorrow. But Leclerc on pole, Perez second, Verstappen third. A bit scruffy this morning from Max Verstappen in the qualifying session, Sam.
Looked like he was struggling with the rear of the car, especially when it was loaded laterally and on traction. The track was a lot hotter earlier on today. I think it's cooled by about 12 to 13 degrees as we go into the sprint race format. So I think that some of those issues will have gone away. I do still see him as the massive favourite for this sprint and for the race tomorrow. But it could be interesting, you know, Charles Leclerc on pole. He'll want to lay down a marker, and remember, he's only got 6 points this season so far, so he's going to want to get his championship kind of up and running today.
If he finishes in the top 3, he will equal the amount of points he scored in the first 3 races of the season in one sprint race, not even necessarily winning it. So it's been a tough one for Charles Leclerc so far this season. Now, interestingly, everybody is starting on the medium tyre for this race, except Lando Norris in 10th, who's going for the soft tyre, and Valtteri Bottas in 15th, who's going for the soft tyre. So punchy stuff from Norris. Well, I guess he's starting 10th. He wouldn't score any points if he finishes there.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, you've got nothing to lose. If you're starting 10th for a sprint race that doesn't count for anything for tomorrow, why not? I mean, I presume their thinking is just have a go. There might be some safety cars because other people are giving it, sends down the inside. They might then struggle with warm-up on the mediums. Let's try and capitalise on the early phase of the race and see what we can do.
And also, the Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll and the 2 Aston Martins are starting 8th and 9th on the grid. They've been having trouble with their DRS throughout the weekend. So if Norris, who's starting just behind them, can jump them off the start with his soft tyre, he might be able to stay ahead if they still have DRS issues. But we'll have to wait and see about that one. Charles Leclerc then, the man who will start on pole position. Perez second, Verstappen third. George Russell will be 4th on the grid, with Carlos Sainz 5th and Alex Albon in 6th position. And it is, I hadn't really thought about, initially when the sprint format came in, or this new sprint format for this weekend, it was like, okay, cool. We have the qualifying on Friday, the race on Sunday, then a sprint day in the middle. But now it's a little bit like, I don't know, has it taken, if you're Perez and Verstappen, let's say, in the past, if this was deciding the grid for tomorrow, you would play it conservative, you would, play it sensible, just get it to the end. Does that change? Or actually you've still got points on the board, and if you're Verstappen and you crash out and Perez wins, then your championship lead gets halved. Are you still going to be conservative?
I'm more invested in this format of the sprint in comparison to last year and the year before. I like the fact that you can go for it today and it doesn't count for tomorrow. So if Max Verstappen gets a great start and he disappears in the lead, if he then retires with a couple of laps to go because of a mechanical, it doesn't affect him tomorrow. I quite like that. So I think that you'll see more people taking risks and trying things in today's race. Well, Jack, we're going to find out.
Leclerc's at a really odd angle on starting on the pole position. He's kind of really pointing outwards by the looks of things. They will do a formation lap as usual. which will be getting underway in about 10 seconds' time. Do you see what I mean? He's really sticking out.
Well, actually, his rear left tyre is outside the box. Now, he's got to be careful that he doesn't do that for the race start, because as we saw in Bahrain, as we saw then in... Where was the next one?
Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi Arabia, we saw Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon getting penalties for that exact issue. They've made the grid slots enormous now for the rest of the year. There is no excuse to have your tyres outside of your grid slot now.
So the cars making their way around on the formation lap. The lineup for this 30-minute sprint race is Charles Leclerc on pole position, Sergio Perez alongside him on the front row, third is Max Verstappen, fourth is George Russell, fifth is Carlos Sainz. Hamilton, Alex Albon, Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll and Lando Norris are the top 10. Piastri's 11th, Hülkenberg 12th, 13th is Joe, 13th is Magnussen, 14th is Joe, 15th is Bottas, Tsunoda, Gasly and De Vries. The 18 cars that will start on the grid. Esteban Ocon will start from the pit lane in the Alpine, and Logan Sargent pulled out of the race after a crash in qualifying earlier on. They're unable to get the car ready in time. Pacey formation lap from Charles Leclerc. He's slowed it down a little now, but there was some real attempts to get some heat into the tyres, because tyre warm-up here is a little tricky.
Tyre warm-up is tricky. It's quite low macro roughness here. The track temperature's gone down, it's getting towards the evening, and they're on the medium compound tyre. All these things mean that it is going to be more difficult to get heat absorbed into not only the top layer rubber, but inside the tyre as well.
Yeah, it is 22 degrees, the air temperature. Track temperature is at 36 degrees. A reminder of the championship, Max Verstappen leads it on 69 points, 15 points clear of his teammate Sergio Perez, and then Charles Leclerc has 6 points on the board. So could be a big boost for Leclerc if he's able to score some points. And there was an announcement in between the qualifying earlier on and this race that Formula One will be continuing to come to Azerbaijan until at least the end of the 2026 season. So an extension for 3 more years was announced on the Baku street circuit, which is interesting. It's certainly unique. It's certainly unique and can throw up things out of nowhere, as Leclerc is now on the back straight. Very long formation lap, because it's quite a long lap here. Even the race laps will be sort of 1 minute 45s, 1 minute 50s. And as a result, we've been going for almost 3 minutes now on this formation lap, and the cars are now finally starting to pull up in their grid slots. As I say, Bottas and Norris, the 2 drivers that will be starting on the soft compound of tyre. Alex Albon in 7th place in the Williams, looking to add to his points tally. He's scored 1 point so far this season with a 10th place in Bahrain, but then retired in both Jeddah and Australia, which was now 4 weeks ago. It's felt like a long time since we've had Formula One racing. The other thing we've seen quite a lot of times here, I feel, is the 2nd place driver getting a reasonable enough getaway and able to attack on the inside into turn 1, because it's a fairly short run to the first corner.
Short run, if you can get good traction, a good initial getaway, you can, go down the inside, and not leading at the end of lap 1 isn't the worst thing in the world in Baku. There's such a long straight, Jack, from out of the last corner, all the final sectors flat out, and then the run from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, it's all straight lines. So you don't need to lead the first lap in order to win this race.
Well, we'll see who will be leading the first lap in about 2 minutes' time, because the F1 sprint is about to get underway. The first sprint race of the season, half an hour long, 8 points up for grabs for the winner. The front row is Leclerc and Perez. Championship leader Verstappen is 3rd. The race gets underway. Pretty solid start from Leclerc. Holds the lead, and it's a very good start from the Mercedes. George Russell on the attack, side by side with Verstappen. Verstappen holds it around the outside, almost pushed into the wall, but Russell is still there, fighting over that 3rd position. There is contact between them, and they both managed to keep going, but Verstappen had a little contact with the barrier, and now getting involved is Carlos Sainz as well. Leclerc is leading, but it's 3 wide almost for 3rd position. Russell's still on the inside. Verstappen hangs it round the outside, and this time gets overtaken by George Russell. Not quite by Carlos Sainz though. So Leclerc leading, he and Perez disappearing up the road. Verstappen's made a bit of an error in the middle there as well. That was some team radio, but I didn't really know what was going on in it, to be honest. But Leclerc leads, Perez second, Russell up into third. He and Verstappen with a great fun fight on those opening corners.
Fantastic fight, wasn't it, Jack? From turn 1 to turn 4, side by side at every single opportunity. Great racing from George to give Max racing room on the outside, saying, look, I'm going to give you room, but I'm coming past. Really great.
So, up the hill they come to the top of it, and then to the 90-degree left-hander at turn 15 that takes them back down towards the Caspian Sea, which is below sea level, for what it's worth. Here's Verstappen's radio.
All good, Max. These guys have got nothing to lose. Just remember that.
No, mate, you got me. That's how you got the position. Reported.
It's been reported.
I can also pass like that if I keep driving into the side.
Verstappen lecturing people on overtaking driving standards is a fun one. And there's a tyre rolling down the hill. Someone has slowed down. It's Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda has lost his tyre and is scraping along the ground. I think he's trying to get back to the pits. The right rear is missing on Yuki Tsunoda.
Is that the second or third time that he's had a tyre issue this weekend? I think it's the second time he's hit the wall and had a tyre come off.
Yeah, could be. Tsunoda is scraping his way back to the pits. It feels like, you know, it's a sprint race. Park it, honestly, instead of scraping the whole car on the way back. We'll find out what happened, because it was the left rear, so he hasn't hit the wall on the exit of 15. There's debris, quite a bit of debris on the track coming down towards turns 5 and 6. Tsunoda is still creeping his way back into the pit lane. So the full order: Leclerc, Perez, Russell, Verstappen in 4th, Sainz in 5th, Hamilton is 6th, Alonso is 7th, Albon is 8th, Norris is up into 9th place, Stroll is down to 10th, and then 11th is Piastri, 12th is Hülkenberg, 13th is Magnussen, 14th Bottas, 15th Zhou, and I think we should be seeing the virtual safety car is deployed. Virtual safety car deployed because of debris on the circuit and a tyre rolling down the hill. I'm just going to see what happened to Yuki Tsunoda. Coming up into turn 15. Oh, I think it's gone there, hasn't it? Oh, he's hit the... I think he's got some kind of problem, and he's hit the wall on the outside of turn 13. Did he have no front wing already? He's only got half a front wing. He might have already only had half a front wing and then just understeered into the wall.
Certainly looks that way, doesn't it? The front wing is such a powerful tool in Formula One. As we see a tyre, literally just the tyre, the rim was still connected to Yuki Tsunoda's car. That is just the rubber element of what keeps the car on the ground in the middle of the circuit.
I thought we were going to see... Have you ever seen that... I think it's like Aussie V8s back in the day, where the tyre rolls down the hill.
Yes, I've seen it, and then it lands on top of the tyre stack itself.
Yeah, iconic tyre action that was. Tsunoda pulls back into the pits. That will be the end of his... Well, no, will it be the end of his race? Well, they're just going to...
It took a very big hit on the right-hand side. I'm surprised. I don't see... I mean, he will stay on the lead lap, presumably, just about, if they get him out now.
They're changing his front wing as well.
But with a virtual safety car, he's not going to catch the back of the pack. So I don't see the point in going back out again.
So that opening lap, great start from Russell. He was ahead of Verstappen going into the braking zone into turn 1. Verstappen braved it out around the outside. Russell just kept his nose in, and I guess that is the difference. That's an example of the difference, right? That Russell would have probably conceded that a little earlier, were it an hour-and-a-half Grand Prix, or were it a race where that was going to decide his grid spot for tomorrow. Verstappen was so lucky not to be in the wall at turn 2.
Very, very lucky indeed. But that's the kind of driver that both of these two men are. Supremely confident drivers. And actually, Verstappen has actually touched the wall on the outside as well when George Russell finally got through. They both... as Yuki Tsunoda is definitely... that's definitely not very healthy. You can see some toe out there, big time.
Some toe out.
A lot of... Oh, look at that in a straight line.
Crabbing. It's like when you come up behind a car on the motorway, you know, and you're like, oh, that car's been in a shunt, hasn't it? Yeah. I cannot believe AlphaTauri have sent that car out. I absolutely can't believe it. That is releasing a car in an unsafe condition. I mean, that's a fast that they've let that car back out on track.
Going back to George Russell, Max Verstappen, they're both hungry, world-class athletes. I think it's testament to Max Verstappen. He's so far ahead already in the championship, yet he will fight tooth and nail for every single point. He's not going to let you past without a real battle, and that's testament to the man as a sportsman, I think.
Lap 3 of 17. Still the virtual safety car is deployed. And, oh, now it's a full safety car. So full safety car deployed because of all the debris on the circuit that they feel that they'll need more time to sweep up. So now it will be behind the safety car for a bit.
And that's kind of played into Perez's, Russell's and Verstappen's hands, because actually Leclerc had got himself a nice little lead there. You know, if on lap 3 DRS had come into play, Perez wasn't within DRS range of Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a shame that for Leclerc.
The field will bunch up behind the safety car, and hopefully it'll only be 1 lap or 2 laps or something, but we're sort of carving our way through the sprint fairly quickly with a safety car intervention. The full order: Leclerc in the lead, Perez second, Russell third, Verstappen fourth, Sainz in fifth, Hamilton, Alonso, Albon, Norris and Stroll are the top 10. Here is Verstappen's radio.
Okay, Max, we have picked up some floor damage. Just waiting for the balance shift. How do you think?
Did he really drive into the side of... I don't understand how he can keep the position and he's damaging my car. It's kind of ridiculous.
There was nothing in that Russell Verstappen thing.
It was two side by side racing millimeters apart. It wasn't deliberate. That's just racing. Max is just racing.
Yuki Tsunoda has nearly made his way back to the pit lane, and there's absolutely how they've released Tsunoda from the pit garage is that I don't call stuff out too much.
But you can see it. It's clear. I mean, the rear right is pointing in completely the wrong direction.
It's pointing inwards. He's driving it around with 45 degrees in the car. It looks like he's like power sliding all the way around the lap.
We had a race where in Formula E where a driver had a similar thing, Robin Freitz in Malaysia, where he hit a wall and still finished on the podium with a car that was crabbing in a straight line. It was quite amusing.
But he didn't come into the pits and then get sent back out again. That was the thing. He just hit the wall and kept driving.
Yeah, 2 laps to go. But yeah, I'm very surprised at this level that car was able to, was allowed to be sent out again.
Yeah, really remarkable. So, new personnel coming in at AlphaTauri to sort of oversee a bit of an overhaul there, and that'll be one of them. They also had it, didn't they, in Zandvoort last year, where Tsunoda was saying the car's broken, or was it the year before? The car's broken, the car's broken. Then they were like, oh, no, it's not, everything's fine. He came into the pits. They were like, no, car's fine, out you go. And it was something absurd. It was something like really, really major, like a drive shaft. The drive shaft had failed, I think it was. And Yuki was saying, I've got no power. And they were saying, no, everything's fine. He's like, no, guys, the drive shaft's failed. They're like, no, it's fine. He's like, yeah, not a good look for them.
Yeah, debris gone. It's clear.
Hamilton wants to go racing again. Says the debris gone, it's clear. So hopefully this will be the final lap behind the safety car. Into the pits comes Yuki Tsunoda. They don't even bother looking at the car this time around.
Well, rightly so. So now what we have is a 12-lap sprint instead of a 17-lap sprint.
We are getting a look at Tsunoda coming back into the pits. So there's their engineer sort of looking at the back. He just like looks at it and just does a thumbs up. He just like looked with his eyes. Obviously, what else are you going to look with? But and then we're looking at him going out of the pit lane now, Tsunoda. And you can see as he goes out of the pits, it's pointing in the wrong direction. The wheel is... That's bad stuff from AlphaTauri. I don't want to slam on them too hard. And also, who really cares too much? But it's just really bad stuff from AlphaTauri. Honestly, an engineer just went up, ducked down, thumbs up. Like, not even... I've seen ocular pat-downs take longer than that. Safety car will be ending at the end of this lap. Charles Leclerc will be leading the way. Sergio Perez will be in second place. George Russell will be third. Max Verstappen fourth. Carlos Sainz fifth. Hamilton sixth. Alonso, Albon, Norris and Stroll the top 10. Piastri's in 11th. Hulkenberg 12th. 13th Magnussen. 14th Bottas. 15th Joe.
There was a cut.
There was a cut. Says the, oh, cat. Oh, cat. Maybe he said cat.
Engine cut.
Oh, engine cut.
Engine cuts, indeed.
Oh.
Where the interesting thing now, Jack, is the fact that Lando Norris started on the softs, and we've only got a 12-lap sprint now, so I think that Norris could be on for a reasonable result today.
Right, safety car is about to come in. Leclerc concerned about an engine cut. We'll see what happens. When will Leclerc go? We saw a chaotic safety car restart in Formula 2 earlier on. We've seen plenty of them in Formula 1 in Baku over the time. Here he goes then, Charles Leclerc. Perez right behind him, Russell right behind him. He's weaving so slowly because you don't want to get slipstreamed on this restart. It's going to be very, very busy down into turn 1. Leclerc goes. Off goes Leclerc, and he's got a very nice restart. Russell's a little slower. Verstappen's coming alongside Russell down towards the first corner. Verstappen's got the inside. Perez darting around to try and break the toe of Russell, but through he goes. Very late on the brakes is Carlos Sainz as he fights Lewis Hamilton. But Verstappen is through, up into third place. Alonso's on the attack now, trying to get Sainz. He's got ahead of Fernando Alonso, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, so Hamilton drops down to 7th place. But Leclerc leads. Perez is second. Verstappen is up into third. George Russell drops down to 4th. 5th is Sainz. 6th is Alonso. 7th is Hamilton. 8th is Alex Albon still. And Norris is getting fed very close towards the wall by Lance Stroll, but manages to take the position. So Stroll is up into 9th. Norris down to 10th. Piastri 11th. Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Bottas and Joe the top 15. Gasly, De Vries and Ocon, the 18 drivers left. Good restart from Charles Leclerc, and George Russell a little bit slow on the uptake.
A great restart by Charles Leclerc. George Russell a little bit, he'll be very disappointed with that. But does Max Verstappen overtake him before the start-finish line? No, he just backs off. Very clever. Yeah. Very, very clever indeed.
In fact, there was 17 thousandths between them at the timing line.
Absolutely perfect there. Great judgment by Max Verstappen. Great judgment as well by that man again, Fernando Alonso, just placing his car at the right point. He could see what was going on in front, Jack. He could see that George Russell was getting attacked by Max Verstappen. He could see that Lewis Hamilton was also getting attacked. So, yeah, really, really good racing.
So Leclerc's lead is 0.6 of a second ahead of Sergio Perez, and then it's 1 second back to Max Verstappen, and Perez is very, very close here. No DRS yet for Perez as he comes into the left-hander at turn 1, but there will be on this second run up the second straight. So Perez could be in a position to try and attack coming up into turn 3. You don't see many overtakes there, to be honest. The favoured place is into turn 1. Perez has DRS, is closing in on Leclerc, but is not quite close enough. But I think come the start-finish straight next time, it could be a little bit of a different story. Through the right-hander now of turn 5, and Verstappen will be trying to join that fight as quickly as possible.
Bear in mind, Max Verstappen has a little bit of floor damage. Is that going to hurt his progress? Currently sitting in third, not as close to Perez as Perez is to Charles Leclerc. I'm expecting Perez to lead this Grand Prix at the start of the next lap, Jack. I think that the Red Bull advantage with DRS is going to be huge.
Up through the right-hander of the turns 10 and 11, round the castle section, and now down towards turn 15. 0.6 of a second between Leclerc and Perez. The sound you can hear is Sergio Perez taking a big chunk of curb on the left-hand side. Now into the final corner of turn 15, and this is a big opportunity here for Perez. He's just 0.6 of a second back from the Ferrari of Leclerc. They splash through the flat-out sweeps at 19 and 20. And Perez is going to have a perfect run. He'll ping open the DRS. Leclerc won't be able to have the DRS. The Ferrari and the Red Bull down towards the first corner now, 210 miles an hour. Perez goes to the inside. Leclerc relatively leaves the door open, and Sergio Perez takes the lead of the sprint in Baku. Perez hits the front, Leclerc in second, Verstappen still in third and not quite close enough to get involved in the fight. He will now have DRS Leclerc on the run towards turn 3, and we've seen him do this a few times in battle, not fight too hard into a corner, but then use the DRS on the next straight. In Bahrain in particular, that was sort of his tactic, but not a particularly strong defence there from Charles Leclerc.
No, there was no tactic there. That was just a much quicker car going past him at turn 1 at the sprint race, whereas Bahrain, he was using the DRS strategically, getting it off Max Verstappen when Max was overtaking him, and then regaining the place 2 corners later. So very different circumstances. Let's see though if he can react. If he can now stick on the back of Perez, maybe there'll be some fighting later on. I'm just surprised, a little bit surprised, that Max Verstappen hasn't caught up in much more of a hurry.
Yeah, well, he tapped the wall, didn't he, on the exit of turn 1 and a little on the exit of turn 2 on the very opening lap in his fight with George Russell.
Now, there was a little front lock up there by George, which is why there was actually initial contact. This is quite interesting. George just washed out a little bit from the apex, and that's why the contact was there.
Lovely job, Max. Without contact as well.
Oh.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I know how to do that.
I don't know if this is professional of me to say, but I get really wound up with all the passive aggression on the Verstappen Red Bull team radio. It's just like, come on. Anyway, lap 8 of 17. Perez is leading the Grand Prix. Leclerc, well, no, he's not leading the Grand Prix, he's leading the sprint. Leclerc's running in second place, Verstappen is in third, and Leclerc, by sitting behind Perez, if he can stay close enough, will keep the DRS, which will help him to keep Verstappen behind. Those 3 are breaking away from George Russell, but the longer Leclerc stays in the DRS of the car in front, the less likely he is to be attacked by Verstappen, or the less vulnerable he is anyway to attack from Verstappen.
Exactly. If he can just time this, sit there, stay in the tow, get the goodness of being within DRS range, then you never know, Perez might make a little mistake towards the end, the tyres might go off, or Leclerc might find a bit more speed and nick a win of the sprint race towards the end. But guess who's coming? Guess who's coming, Jack?
It's Max Verstappen, the championship leader, the 2-time reigning champion. Just having a look at Oscar Piastri, who I think has got ahead of his teammate here. Yeah, Piastri's got ahead of Norris, coming down the start-finish straight, goes to the inside, has the DRS. Norris had dropped out of the DRS range of Lance Stroll ahead, and they are 1.6 seconds ahead of Hülkenberg. So positional change there at McLaren, and Perez currently is setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as he comes through the middle sector. He might have dropped Leclerc from DRS here.
So that gamble for the soft tyre for Norris doesn't look to be working. I thought it might be quite a smart choice, especially given the fact that we had quite a long safety car and virtual safety car. I thought that might still work. Clearly those tyres are not working well on Lando's car.
Valtteri Bottas is ahead of his teammate Joe, but only by 0.7 of a second. So Joe seems to be quicker than Bottas at the moment. Into the first corner they come. Perez leading the way. 0.3 quicker than Leclerc on that last lap. I think he still had DRS, Charles Leclerc, that time through, and he still has it now. So Perez leading, Leclerc second, Verstappen third. They come up towards turn 3. George Russell is 2 seconds back from that fight. Carlos Sainz isn't able to make any inroads. In fact, Alonso is closer to Sainz in 5th, and Sainz is to Russell in 4th. That's the 1, 2, 3 on the exit of turn 4. Hülkenberg's got ahead of Norris now, so yeah, those soft tyres really not working for the McLaren. And this will all be a bit of information for the start of the Grand Prix tomorrow.
Yeah, it's interesting information, although I think Lando, he'll be disappointed with today's race, the way it's gone. I mean, he's falling back at such a rate of knots. Meanwhile, inside the points right now, Alexander Albon doing a good job, although he's under significant pressure from Lance Stroll for that final point.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him to keep that position, I think, Alex Albon. But we are on lap 10 of 17, about to start at lap 11 of 17. So 7 to go at the end of this one. Through the left-hander they come. A little bit of a slide from Leclerc. He's 1.1 seconds now away from Sergio Perez, so might be getting the DRS loss here. Norris is being told to come into the pits, so that's going to be his race relatively run. Does the DRS pop open here for Leclerc? No, it doesn't, but it does for Verstappen. He's not close enough to make a move at the moment, but that could be crucial if Leclerc has dropped out of DRS range. Sainz is still under attack from Fernando Alonso behind. Here comes Lance Stroll trying to fight with Alex Albon down into turn 1. And meanwhile, it's a million wide further back. We're going 3 wide here. The Alpine of Gasly is getting involved with Bottas and Joe. Also sending it deep on the brakes is Ocon, trying to go around the outside of Nick de Vries, and he pulls it off. So Ocon gets up into 16th position. Joe is up into 13th, so Joe's got ahead, I think, of Gasly. I think is the way around that has gone. Norris leaves the pits on the medium tyre, so that soft experiment really not working out for him at all. A replay now of Nico Hülkenberg, and this was him coming up into turn 3, side by side in front, as Norris got overtaken by Kevin Magnussen, and then Hülkenberg overtook Norris into turn 4. So yeah, Norris had nothing at all on those soft tyres after such a short amount of time, really. You know, 10 laps into the Grand Prix, what do you say, 4 or 5 of them behind the safety car, so not good news at all for Norris. That'll be concerning everybody looking at the Grand Prix tomorrow of what tyres they're going to use. Could be medium and a hards, I guess. So here comes Perez out over the start-finish straight again. He's about to set the fastest lap of the sprint, and Verstappen is only about half a second away, just under a second away from Charles Leclerc this time through. Now Leclerc, even though he's out of DRS, he is still getting a tow from Perez, so it's not sort of all lost. He's still well close enough to get a good slipstream.
No, exactly, and the moment he falls out of the tow, or Max Verstappen passes him and disappears, his pace will significantly drop compared to now.
This tyre is starting to melt.
That's Bottas on the radio complaining that the soft tyre is starting to melt. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll has just overtaken Alex Albon for that 8th place. Albon drops down into 9th position. Might get another run at him down the back straight in towards turn 3, though, Alex Albon. It's all or nothing for him as regards to this 8th place. Stroll covers the inside, Albon to the outside. But Stroll gets the job done. Later on the brakes, and is up into that 8th position now. So Perez leading, Leclerc 2nd, Verstappen 3rd. Leclerc's doing a good job here of sticking with Perez, still within the DRS range. I think he's managed to get back in within a second, so we'll see whether he gets DRS next time around. The two Hasses have swapped places. Kevin Magnussen overtaking Nico Hülkenberg up into turn 3. Looked like fairly clean racing from the two of them, but Leclerc meanwhile still chasing down Perez. Perez leading the sprint, looking set to chip 2 points away out of Fernando Alonso's championship lead, out of Max Verstappen's championship lead. If it finishes like that. I've been spending too long with Benson. Lap 12 of 17. Are they all out of DRS range at the moment? Here they come. We'll see whether the rear wings pop open. Down the start-finish straight. Perez won't have DRS. Leclerc is less than a second behind. Leclerc's back in DRS range. And Verstappen is out of DRS range of Leclerc. 5 laps to go, and Leclerc is just bringing himself back into this fight a little bit for the win.
Yeah, when you're that close within a second, it can really hurt your ability to corner. It can also hurt your front tyres. Just sitting back a little bit more might just give the tyres a little bit of a breather. It's not much, but it might help. The real scrap, Jack, I think, is the scrap between Stroll, Albon, Piastri. Those 3 cars very, very close on the circuit, all for the final point. Right now, going to Lance Stroll.
Ocon into the pits now. He started on the soft tyre, so not worked out for him either. Well, actually, he's been in twice, hasn't he, Ocon? I can't quite... Why did he pit the first... Oh, he started from the pit, so that's probably why it's classified as a second pit stop. But he must have started on the softs, and he's now gone on to another set of soft tyres. No, actually, no. They pitted Ocon at the first safety car, put him on a set of softs to try and be aggressive, has obviously just run out of grip on those softs and gone out on another new set of softs. Perez's lead up to 1.3 seconds now, halfway around this lap. So the gap growing again a little to Charles Leclerc in second and Max Verstappen in third. Russell is fourth. Carlos Sainz not able to get anywhere near George Russell. His last lap was 1 second slower than his teammate Charles Leclerc's. So meanwhile, Joe has just passed Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg lost 3 seconds on that last lap. So I don't know if there was a mistake from Hulkenberg or if he's got a car problem, but he lost 3 seconds on that last lap compared to everybody else. 4 to go as Sergio Perez comes across the line. 1.2 seconds now ahead of Leclerc. So he has managed to get back out of the DRS range. Verstappen's not able to make much progress. Remember, he might have had a floor damage after the opening lap of the sprint, fighting with George Russell. There's a fight here between De Vries and Bottas. They're fighting over 15th position. And De Vries is fairly close, actually, to the back of Valtteri Bottas here. Bottas is still out there trying to struggle along on these soft tyres. De Vries to the inside. Bottas holds the racing line, but De Vries has got so much more grip that he's able to just sail past and get up into 15th position. Hulkenberg on the last lap was 5 seconds off the pace, so Hulkenberg must have a problem here. Hulkenberg must have a car problem. He's been 3 seconds off the pace, then 5 seconds off the pace on the last 2 laps, but why you wouldn't pit if you had a problem, I'm not sure.
I think, Jack, the reason why people aren't pitting is because now, with this new format, doing race simulation laps is really limited. So if they've had a bad race here, they'll still go out and they'll still try and learn a little bit about what the tyre does, how the car reacts. So I think that it's still valuable learning for all these teams.
Yeah, very good point, because they've only had 1 session of free practice, which was yesterday. And this is the same time that the Grand Prix will be, well, it's a little later than when the Grand Prix will be taking place tomorrow, but broadly speaking, it's a similar time period. Fight going on now between Piastri and Albon. No, it is Ocon. It's Gasly and Joe, there we go. It's Gasly in 13th fighting Joe for 12th position. He's a little bit too far back. The top 8 at the moment: Perez, Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell in 4th, Sainz in 5th, Alonso, Hamilton and Stroll the top 8, Albon in 9th, Piastri's in 10th. Outside the top 10, Magnussen, Joe, Gasly, Hulkenberg, De Vries, Bottas, Norris and Ocon. Gasly not quite close enough to make the move yet. Behind him, Hulkenberg is getting overtaken here by Nick De Vries. So on that last lap, Hulkenberg did a 48.5, so again, a couple of seconds slower than his personal best lap. But Bottas is way off the pace as well. He's 4 seconds off the pace because his soft tyres have disappeared. Hulkenberg is on the mediums though, so not quite sure why he's struggling so much. Perez's lead is now 3 seconds up at the front. So dropped off a cliff here, Charles Leclerc. That last lap, he was 0.8 of a second slower than Sergio Perez, so this could give Verstappen a late chance to make an overtake. It's in DRS range as they come out of turn 15 and 16 now, and Leclerc won't be having quite as much of a slipstream. So they come down the start-finish straight, but I think Verstappen's too far back. He might be out of DRS, you know. He's out of DRS range, Max Verstappen, so even though it looked like he closed in for a moment. Penultimate lap of the race starting for Sergio Perez. Second is Leclerc. Third is Verstappen. Fourth is George Russell, still under no pressure from Carlos Sainz. Alonso's in 6th, Hamilton 7th, Stroll 8th, Albon 9th, Piastri 10th.
I'm saying Max Verstappen isn't happy after this race.
Yeah.
He's only going to lose 2 points to Checo Perez after this race if Perez goes on to win it. But knowing his character and his thirst and desire to win it at every weekend, he will not be happy with this. So I fully expect him to be really on it tomorrow now. He'll not want to leave Baku without a victory.
And he'll be starting second on the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix, alongside Charles Leclerc, going into that first corner. Leclerc has dropped to 3 seconds back, as I said. That last lap he was 1.2 seconds slower than Perez. So I don't know if Perez has just put the hammer down all of a sudden and disappeared up the road, but suddenly a huge burst of speed from Perez. Could be Leclerc still just having to manage his tyres more. But Leclerc and Verstappen are lapping slower than Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Stroll are all going quicker. So Leclerc really struggling for pace right now. 1 lap to go as Perez comes out across the line.
Which is a little bit concerning, given the race length tomorrow. You know, if Charles Leclerc is already struggling on the medium compound tyre now, and bear in mind they really only did 12 flying laps in this race. It wasn't really too strenuous for those medium compound tyres.
Leclerc on that last lap, another 45.5, which is only Albon and Piastri were slower on that last lap inside the top 10 than Charles Leclerc in second position, and Verstappen has got DRS here. It's going to be a bit too late, I think, in the fight for second position. Up they come into the left-hander of turn 3. Maybe we'll see a drag race to the line, but I still think Leclerc will have enough sort of physical track position that even if Verstappen closes in, it won't be close enough. But it is going to go down to the wire here in the fight for second place. Perez's lead is now 5 seconds, so whether Perez put the hammer down or Leclerc has just completely dropped off a cliff. And don't forget, this is the 1/3 race distance, so I guess it's possible to do a medium and then stop and then go on to a hard at this point, but Ferrari looking like they are really struggling. Up through the castle section now. Verstappen is, I think, just a little too far back, even for a run on this final tour. Sergio Perez, meanwhile, comes out of the final left-hander of turn 16. He's going to chip away a little bit at Max Verstappen's championship lead, only by 2 points. But still, it'll take it from 15 down to 13. Perez out-qualified and out-raced Verstappen today, and the checkered flag is there. Perez wins the sprint race in Baku by a very comfortable margin for Red Bull. Second across the line is going to be Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen in third spot. It's fourth for George Russell, 3 seconds further back. Carlos Sainz comes across the line in fifth. Alonso sixth. Hamilton seventh. Stroll eighth. Albon ninth, just missing out on the points, but managing to hold off Oscar Piastri, who finishes in 10th. Magnussen, Joe, Gasly, De Vries and Hulkenberg will be the top 15. Bottas, Norris and Ocon, the 18 runners. But good drive from Perez in the Red Bull. Out-qualified Verstappen today, as I said. Didn't seem to have any troubles during the race. Okay, Verstappen had a bit of damage, but how much we'll never know.
Okay, tidy job, P1.
Well done, guys. We did what we had to. Well done there.
Did what he had to do.
Good job, guys. And we will get them tomorrow again.
By get them, I presume he means the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
And his teammate. He will want to win tomorrow. He's got a lot of confidence around this track, Jack. He's done extremely well here before. He's won here before. Sergio Perez is going into tomorrow thinking he can win the Baku Grand Prix.
Very good job. P2.
Yeah, thank you. That was the very best we could do. Now we try and work for tomorrow.
Sure, and well managed.
I would agree with that. I would agree with second was the best that he could do today. Charles Leclerc is fighting against 2 cars, that being the 2 Red Bulls, that right now is quite a bit quicker than him. Yet he was able to split them and finish second. So absolutely, that was the best he could do today.
And what did he say after that? He said, you know, we'll try and work on things for tomorrow, but it was very much we'll see what we can do.
Go again tomorrow, hopefully without damage.
Yeah, well done, Max, with an injured car. That was very good. Well done.
Yeah. then maybe there was some damage on the Red Bull. Like, he definitely hit the wall and stuff, but I don't know. It wasn't quite Alonso's drive here a few years ago in the McLaren. Do you remember that?
Yeah, with no wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but all these Formula One cars, it doesn't matter whether it's an aero-efficient F1 car or not. They're a lot of the grip is down to aerodynamics. Some are miles better than others, but even little tiny elements of the floor coming off through damage or wall contact or side-by-side action can make huge implications to lap time, because then the air doesn't flow over the right bit at the right angle, and then it doesn't pass over the next bit and the next bit. It really causes a magnitude of issues.
Sergio Perez hops out of his car and punches his fists, and then goes over and has a little high five with some of the mechanics. Punches the air, and now he will we'll hear from him in a couple of moments' time. Max Verstappen getting out of the car. Oh, okay, to be fair, big chunk of damage on the left-hand side of Max Verstappen's car.
Would you like to recline your comment?
Yeah. There's a massive hole in the side. We never saw that the whole race, because it's a my defense is it's a anti-clockwise circuit, so all you see is the outside. The other side.
The extra drag.
Oh, now Verstappen's going straight over to have a go at Russell.
Yeah. Mate, we all have no grip. You all need to leave a little bit of space. But expect the next time the same, you know? Take care.
Oh. Do I have to apologise for that word? Oh, we're only on the BBC Sport website. So, can I swear? Maybe I can swear if we're online only.
Don't try. Just be PG.
Okay. I'm always PG, SB. So Verstappen, yeah, he's not happy with Russell, is he? And it was all a bit nothingy, but it's so interesting when Verstappen is such an aggressive racer. I think that's what a lot of people will feel like. Verstappen's such an aggressive racer that when he's annoyed at people for racing aggressively, that's where it's a bit strange.
Other people would have gived up that move.
Yeah.
And said to George Russell, look, you've got this done, you're covered down the inside, but not Max Verstappen. He wants to force it and force it and force it, which we love. It's fantastic to watch. And actually, when George watches it back, he will realise that his small inside, the front left lockup, is what caused him to hit the side of the Red Bull.
Right, well, let's hear from the top three, and they are talking to Naomi Schiff.
Max, congratulations. 6 points in the bag today. We heard you quite frustrated in that opening lap. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that? We saw you talking to George there. Has that been clarified?
No, it's not clarified, but I just don't understand why you need to take so much risk. You know, in lap one, you understeer into my side pod, create a hole. We all have cold tires. You know, it's all easy to lock up, but you know, in this beautiful way of explaining, mate, you know, locked up, look at the onboard. Well, it doesn't make sense, but it's fine. We still got into P3, got some good points, but yeah, it's what it is.
Now, we saw there was a little bit of contact with you and the wall, you and George as well. Did that create any damage on your car? Was that part of the reason it was difficult to get?
Just turn 2, I think, where he tapped me.
Okay, so did that create any damage that maybe made it harder to get past Charles?
Yeah, there's a hole in the side pod. Doesn't look that great, but I mean, it's what it is now, and we'll focus on tomorrow.
Okay, well.
So that was Max Verstappen, who finished third in the sprint. Second place went the way of Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. And Verstappen fairly frustrated. We'll get properly stuck into this on the Checker Flag podcast, which you'll be able to hear a little bit later on once we've done it. But now let's head back and hear from Leclerc.
Charles, congratulations. Only 7 points today. Unfortunately, not a win here for you today. But you're still starting on pole tomorrow. Was there something you could learn from that race today to hopefully put you in a better position for tomorrow?
Well, I mean, we cannot change the car, so of course you can work a little bit here and there on flap maybe. Yeah, I mean, it confirms a little bit what we thought. The Red Bull still has the upper hand in the race, but we again must not forget how far we were behind in race pace 2 races ago. So we did a step forward. We are still not where we want to be. But as I said, if winning is not possible, then we just need to take the maximum point. And today there wasn't anything more. So happy with the second place. And we'll try and go for the win tomorrow, even though the Red Bull seems a bit quicker.
Besides Sergio getting past quite easily in the DRS zone, were you expecting to be able to stick closer to him around the rest of the lap, possibly?
Well, I did not know what to expect. I didn't fight too much Checo because I just wanted to try and keep my tires. I knew this was our weak point. I tried to stay within the DRS of Checo so he could pull me on the straight, but that wasn't enough. We were losing a little bit too much towards the end. With the degradation. So let's see what's possible to improve tomorrow, and we'll give it all.
Okay, well, congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
So second place for Charles Leclerc, but the winner of the sprint, Red Bull's Sergio Perez.
Checo, congratulations. It's another win around here for you. How was it out there for you?
Yeah, it was good, you know, with these tricky sessions, and it's been a lot of pressure put on us, on our teams, engineers, mechanics, drivers. So to get away with maximum points today was the main objective, but obviously we know that tomorrow is the main race.
You're starting a little bit further down the grid tomorrow in third. How much is that going to make a difference? You know, this was our first session with a proper long run. How much did you get to learn about your car in these conditions?
Yeah, we were able to learn a bit, but obviously tomorrow we're going to be on a much higher fuel loads. Track conditions are going to be different, but I think there is good learning today, and P3 is not ideal for tomorrow's race, but I will give it a go and fight for the win.
Okay, well, we wish you the best of luck. Well done again.
So Sergio Perez, the winner of the sprint. The gap comes down now at the top of the championship by a couple of points. Perez now on 62 with Verstappen on 75. So 13 points, the gap between them. Fernando Alonso still there in third place, but for the first time this season doesn't cross the line in third position. Crikey. The full order, I think I gave you the full order, but I'll give you the top 10 again. Perez, Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, Sainz, the top 5. Alonso, Hamilton, Stroll, Albon and Piastri, the top 10. This has been an IMG production for BBC Radio 5 Live. We'll be with you for the Grand Prix tomorrow. Coverage gets underway 11:30 on 5 Live with Steve Crossman and us, and then the race begins at midday, and we'll have it all for you on 5 Live or the BBC Sport website. You can also download the Checker Flag podcast, which we're about to do now. It'll be great. See you tomorrow.